The Hawaii purchase contract has 14 pages. Is one page more important than all the rest? We're going to talk about that up next. Hey, what's going on, friends? Dylan Onaka here with the Buy Big Island video blog, and today we're going to talk about the purchase contract and if there is a most important page in the purchase contract. So when you make an offer to purchase property in Hawaii, it's a 14-page contract, so there's a lot of stuff in it, and arguably there's one page, and there's definitely a page that people go to immediately to look at to get probably the most important terms of the contract, or the biggest sticking points that you're going to have in the contract. And of course, there's lots of important terms throughout the entire purchase contract, and you don't want to overlook anything. But page number 2 has some of the most important information. So I'm going to talk about page number 2 real quickly and give you the quick breakdown of what you're going to find there, because a lot of times agents, when they get a contract, will immediately go to page 2 and look at it to get a feel for what the contract overall is going to look like, because a lot of the stuff that is really important is on page 2. So the first thing is earnest money. Section B talks about how you're going to put your earnest money down. Is it going to be through a check? Is it going to be through a wire? Is it going to be or some other way that they're going to deliver earnest money to escrow? So that's not a huge important issue, but it's important to know how somebody's going to deliver the earnest money to escrow. The next section is section C, and that gives you the deadline. So that tells you when the offer is good to, because sometimes when people will give you 24 hours to respond, sometimes they'll give you 48 hours to respond, sometimes longer if you request that because your client, your seller, is in the mainland and they can't respond in time, or they don't use email, things like that. So that's section C. That's section C1, and then section C2 is the purchase price. So that's going to be the most important thing that most people are going to care about, right? Is how much am I going to get for my house? And in that section, section C2, it breaks down how much the initial earnest money is going to be, what's that number, if there's going to be any type of additional deposit throughout the process. Customarily, in many cases, after the inspection period, you'll put down an additional deposit after the inspection period is complete, after your home inspection is approved. And then the next section asks if there's going to be any additional funds, and if it's an all cash deal, then that's where the balance of the offer price would go, is in that line. If there aren't going to be any more funds, then you go to the next line, and that's going to talk about how much of the purchase price is going to be financed, and you would put in how. Is it a new VA loan? Is it a FHA loan? Is it a conventional loan? And you would talk about how that remaining balance is going to be financed and what type of loan it's going to be. And then at the bottom, it totals all that up, and it tells you what the total purchase price is, which is what most people are going to be interested in, right off the top, is what is the purchase price in the offer. And then after you get through with section C, it goes to section D, and that talks about addenda. So if there's any specific addenda that are going to be added to the contract, like an as-is addendum, or a VA loan financing addendum, or a purchase money mortgage addendum, which talks about owner financing, if they're asking the owner to finance some of the cost of the purchase price. There's many different types of addenda, and those would be checked there and then attached to the contract, so you can get a quick overview for what type of additional addendums are then attached to the purchase contract. And then you go to section E, which is the legal description, which just talks about what the tax map key is, what the address of the property is, how many beds, how many baths, square footage of the land in the house, things like that. So there's a lot going on that's just on page 2 out of 14 pages. So there's a lot going on page 2. A lot of people feel like that's the most important page, but again, there's lots of important terms throughout the entire purchase contract, and you don't want to overlook any of those, because depending on the deal and depending on the purchase, every property is unique, and different properties are affected in different ways based on the terms in the contract, and so you want to make sure you're looking through it thoroughly. But that's the quick rundown on page 2 and where you're going to find all that information. And as always, if you got any questions, you can always reach out and hit us up on Facebook or in the YouTube comments, or just directly Dylan@buybigisland.com, and we're happy to help out. So until next week, thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week. Aloha.